Welcome to Positive Filter with your host, Philip Wilkerson, a podcast that focuses on friends, family, health, and career with a little self-help around the way. Please join me in this journey for self-improvement, and I hope that what I have to share will make you a better person, thus making the world a better place. All right. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Philip Wilkerson back with another episode of Positive Filter, or your boy, as you know, is AKA the Prince of Positivity, AKA Phil, AKA I got Austin, Texas on my leg. And I have it's a long story for another time, but I have a very special guest with me today, Ali Lampert. And so this actually, I love the word about the world of podcasting. This is the first time we actually connected over the phone or via the voice, but I've been in contact with Ali for about, it seems like 3 months or so.
Yeah.
And I was put in contact with her because one of my closest friends, one of my good friends, Matt Alfonso, he's been a guest on the podcast previously. He's a basketball coach, put me in touch with Ali because from my understanding, Ali serves as a holistic life coach, and Matt said she's been really helpful for him and his developmental growth and his personal growth as a person. And so if my boy Matt can vouch for her, I definitely was like, yo, please have her on the podcast. And then, being a fellow podcaster I got to dive in and listen to a few episodes of her podcast. And I was like, wow, I vibe with that. I definitely identify with a lot of things she's talking about well-being, holistic health, taking care of yourself, mental health and all that. And I was like, you know what, let's just get on the podcast. And I'm quite the persistent friend. I was like, yo, let me get you on. And she's super busy, but I was not going to let her say no to me not get on this podcast. So I got her. I'm so happy she's joining the podcast. I'm very excited for her to share her information, share her knowledge with the listeners of Positive Filter. I'm just so happy. So Ali, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
No, well, thank you for that introduction. It is an honor to be here, and I am glad that it worked out. So thank you for having me.
Yes. So for the listeners that are, not familiar with your services, can you just, give a little plug about what you do and how you help people and just how my friend Matt, use your services as well?
Yeah, for sure. So in my business, I have 2 avenues that I basically serve people through. And the first is, just as you mentioned, how I got connected with Matt is holistic life coaching. My background is fitness. I've been working in that industry for almost 15 years now. And truly, I found that one of the common threads with my successful clients was that we were really spending pretty minimal time when it came to, actual food that they were eating and ways that they were exercising. We were really diving into their mindset and making sure that they had a positive relationship with really everything in their life. And so that really spurred this passion in me to want to expand. And I still do work with a lot of people in that realm because I love it. But that's how Matt and I's working relationship came to be because I just think it's so important, whether you're going through a transitional time, you're looking for a new job, maybe you're just in this place where that there's more for you, that you're meant for more and you're just not sure how to get there. So I'm just really passionate about showing up and helping people really discover that within themselves because, the work that we do, it's really them doing the work. And Matt is such a positive example. He absolutely crushes it. He applies everything that we do together. So yeah, my biggest passion is just really bringing the holistic side, the whole lifestyle side to the coaching. Cause I find that eventually people graduate and they don't need me. And that's the whole idea. I don't want to run I won't say anything in specific, but there are certain weight loss models that they want you to need them for life. And I believe if I'm doing my job as a coach, then my clients shouldn't need me after a certain period of time because we really set the foundation together and then they feel confident to go on and really fly free in their life.
I love that. It's like teaching man to fish and it can fish for days. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
And that's definitely any form of coaching. if you look at anyone that, I work in career services, I don't want people to come back to me forever. I want them to get a job. And, like,
Yeah.
that's not a good thing. If they keep on coming back saying, I need help with X, Y, and Z, I'm like, no, then I sucked at my job, because ideally I want them to have the tools to learn how to get their own job search and things like that. You don't want them to be handicapped, or we call it codependent on you forever. You just want to give them the tools, and eventually they go out and they do it. And then you help someone else. And ideally, if you're a really good coach, I believe that you just keep on getting new people and helping them at the start, and they move on and help out other people, and they get the tools to help other people. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. Like, you don't want people to be handicapped to you, and you want to give them the tools and the support to start off and let them fly on their own. So I love
Yeah,
that.
and that's so well said. And just to piggyback on that, nothing makes me happier than when people feel just this sense of trust and confidence within themselves to now go out and make the decisions that were once hard for them to,
Yes.
really feel confident in who they are, where they once maybe were not as confident. And so I think as coaches, we're really doing people a massive service when we can help them get to that place. Because like you said, I mean, of course it's great to have someone come back and say, hey, it's been 3 or 4 years, I'm thinking about a career change, and that's fine. But
Yes.
ultimately,
Yes.
like, it makes me so happy to see people out living their life, because that's my passion. That's the whole
Yes.
reason behind what I do. So
Now, so you went from the fitness to the holistic health or holistic mindset things. What was some of the things that you need to do to train yourself to be more, rather than just fitness? What training and things did you add, or what did you do to learn? Some
yeah.
things.
Yeah, great question. I am a big believer in personal development, of course. I'm also an equally big believer in just life experience. I have experienced a lot in my life, and I had at a really young age. I traveled the world, lived abroad for 3 years. So I think on top of loving personal development and learning so much, it was the application for me of, really walking the walk and really applying that to my daily life, reading lots of books, listening to
Mm-hmm.
lots of podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And I just found that, through me experiencing it, I could talk so much better to those topics than just something that I had read in a book. So I think I'm a big proponent in both. I think education's amazing. But it's kind of like going to college. I always laugh because I have so many friends that got their MBA, which is
Yeah.
so amazing. But they tell me, like, Ali, like, this, it's crazy because I started a business and this is totally different than school. And it's like, yeah, I mean, the
Yeah.
things that you're
Yeah.
going to learn when you start a business or when you really get out there and apply it, it's
Mm-hmm.
totally different. So, I'm definitely a big fan of both, but for me, I found personal experience to really be like the guiding light.
So, school of hard knocks, basically.
Totally.
I get that.
Totally.
I totally feel that. So one of the things I want to kind of dive in, particularly for this episode, is I remember I remember I listened to one episode and it kind of struck me. You were totally transparent. You were like, I haven't been consistent with certain things. I just needed to take some time. And it got me thinking about the topic of, when people want to help others, who helps the helper? And how do you recognize that in yourself? And what do you do when you try to balance that responsibility to helping other people but helping yourself? And so I wanted to just get your insight on that, and I don't know, just kind of dive into some techniques or things that you think about when you need to do self-care to be effective to help others. So just, I don't know, just tell me, can you just share with the listeners a time where you felt like you're helping a lot of people but you need to take a break and say, yo, I need to just pause and do some reflection and not do as much?
Yeah, for sure. And I want to commend you. I think this is such a cool, unique topic and not often talked about.
Yeah.
I think, this industry tends to attract a lot of us who really have a servant's heart, and we put others
Yes.
first, and that is a beautiful thing. But often it can wind up getting us in trouble because you can't give from an empty cup.
Yeah.
And if you keep trying to do that, eventually you will burn out and you will become resentful, when it really isn't about the people. It's just about you taking better care of yourself. So thinking of a specific time for me, I don't know that there's one instance that comes to mind, but just because I work both in person and online with so many people,
Yes, yes.
there's so many energetic exchanges happening. And I'm a big believer in energy, that sometimes it can be hard for me, coming home, especially if clients have had a tough day or whatnot, to not take that on as my own, to not
Yes.
create that separation of like, okay, you're hurting and, I can totally empathize with you, but I don't need to bring that home, so sometimes I'll do things as crazy as like take a shower or a bath to really just like cleanse myself from the day, because you've got so many different energies coming at you that, so especially if you're a sensitive person, which I am, at the end of the day, it can be difficult.
So I love that there's two folds I hear. I love the fact that with entrepreneurship and business and being your own self-starter, the clock, you work as much as you want to work, you put in as much as you want to put in, but that means also at the same time, the world never stops, right? Like there's no 9 to 5. So how have you set appropriate boundaries or limits on yourself when you could be, like I said, you got people that can reach you at any time online, the world of internet connects you. How do you set appropriate boundaries so that therefore you're protecting yourself, but also being accessible to the people that you need to help?
Yeah, what a great question. I think for me, I have found over time, when I first became an entrepreneur, I was like, I want to help as many people, I want to change as many lives as I can. And while I would love to do that, what I have found for me personally, I'm more passionate about working with less people that are higher quality, that are truly the right fit, because I find that I don't lose my energy, I don't lose my zest when I really honor that. So I'm very careful about the people that I work with now. And then I'm pretty good with my boundaries, and my clients are pretty respectful. But I also, it's like, I signed up for this, right? So if a client texts me on Sunday, for the most part, I'm going to respond, especially if I'm available. And those things don't bother me as much anymore because I'm working with the right people. They used to bother me when I would just take anyone and work with anyone. So I think it's deciphering, like, are you working with your ideal type of client? Because those people will give you energy. And then it doesn't really feel like work. It just feels like, hey, a friend texts me, which I consider my clients friends, and they need my help, or they need to reschedule. So that has helped a lot, just like honoring the actual people that I let into my practice.
I love that. So, obviously who helps the helper? What are some systems you place? Do you say like, for instance, I work in higher ed and we made a guarantee that if we get an email on a weekday, Monday through Friday, that we'll try to respond within 48 hours to give us a cushion. Do you set some boundaries like, yo, you can text me anytime, but blah, 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 like I'll get back to you within a day? Or how do you create that boundary of communication so you're getting back to people, but you'd also, if you Sunday and you're doing something else, how do you protect yourself?
Totally. And I think the 48 hour thing is pretty typical of my practice. My clients just tend to know that on the weekend, like for the most part, I'll get back to them. If I don't, it's not personal. They just know that like, that's also my time to spend time with family and friends and do fun stuff. So I haven't really found an issue where they get upset, because there just usually isn't that much time that passes, and they're pretty understanding of that. So again, I think I just get lucky, but it's also because I've learned the hard way of like, when you choose the right people, you have less problems, right? They usually say that, 80% of your clients are giving you 20% of your problems. So it's like, if you can whittle that down and really focus on quality, then your problems tend to disintegrate.
I love it. So with that being said, learning the hard lessons, do you have like an onboarding intake? Like, yo, these are some questions I try to ask to get a good vibe. What have become your factors in regards to, going forward with someone, or say, you know what, you might not be the best fit for me, and blah, blah, blah?
100%. Yes. I have a pretty decent sized intake form. And then all of my clients, we hop on a call together, a complimentary discovery call together, because in my opinion, I'm interviewing these people just as much as they're interviewing me. It's just like when you go to a job interview, and I wish I had learned this at a younger age, just because you really want this job, at the end of the day, like if that person is going to be your boss and you don't vibe and you don't respect them, then you should take that as a sign of there's something better out there for you that you just don't know yet. And so I really want to screen people well because I also want them to screen me well. And I know that we'll have a happier working relationship if we truly are both the best fit for one another.
Now, and I love that, because one of the things I've learned over time, and I've been working with a lot of students, is that same mindset of don't take the first thing. I mean, don't, if it's the best job and it's your first offer, yes, but also like use that evaluation, like know your worth and all that. But I know a lot of them are stemming from that, like, oh, I got bills. And I think additionally with people going into business like yourself is like, yo, I can be picky, but also if I keep on turning down people, I'm a be broke. So how do you quiet that fear or anxiety of not having people, and making sure that you also at the same time have quality people?
For sure. I think it's all a mindset. And I've been there and I've felt that. And I think, there's two types of people. There's the type of people that work really well under pressure. They burn all the boats, so to speak, as Tony Robbins says. They have no other plan and they just make it work.
Mm-hmm.
I am actually not one of those people. That to me paralyzes me.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I did was I continued to have my in-person training business while I was building my practice
Mm-hmm.
online.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I found that I wanted to continue to do that because I love human interaction. And it's not that like the things that you and I are doing right now aren't, but there's just something about
Mm-hmm.
being around people physically in person. So I think it's easier to have a positive mindset when you don't burn all the boats. But again, if that's your
Mm-hmm.
personality, honor that, go for it. Awesome. But it's just this frame of mind of abundance of like, let's say a student goes to an interview out of college and, they don't get the job,
Mm-hmm.
or like we said, they do get the job, but it just doesn't, like, you have that inner knowing when it's not a good fit, but you feel like you need to take it because
Mm-hmm.
it's the only job you got, right? So it's trusting in whatever higher power you believe in, that there is always more
Yeah.
where that came from, and that it's always better to like, by taking that job, you then close the door for other things to come into your realm, right? So if you can stay patient and
Yeah.
and really not have that desperation, because there is going to be that great fit. One of my favorite books, I talk about this book a lot. Pam Grout wrote this book called Think and Grow Rich. So kind of a
Mm-hmm.
spoof off of Think and Grow Rich, which is a very popular book. But her whole thing was 30-day experiment of gratitude, and how when
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
start that experiment, you all of a sudden start to have things appear that you're like, oh my gosh, like every single day stuff is happening to me. And her whole point is that it's happening to everyone all the time. It's just that we walk around with these glasses that don't allow us to see that stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's
Yeah.
like when we have the awareness of, okay, every single day, I'm just going to be looking for like all the things to be grateful for and all these little miracles, and they will pop up. It is amazing. And it's also
Mm-hmm.
amazing when you get out of that frame of mind, how they don't show up. So,
Right. Right.
I think that's such a good outlook to have when you go into a job or a business. Because, the universe, it always has your back. It's like, it's working with you. It's just a matter of like, are you going to show up halfway so that it can show up halfway?
I love that. I love that, protecting your energy and also just being patient. It's almost like that. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, I don't know. I'm thinking like Braveheart in my head, where that dude was like, hold it, hold it, hold it, and then
Yeah.
because it's like in the movie it was the horses were charging them, and it's really anxiety provoking, but you have to wait for that time. And I kind of get that too. Like there's things like, yo, I got to get this done now. I got to do the normal, trajectory. Like everyone's graduating. I need a job, and I don't have no time to wait for X, Y, and Z. And it's just like there is a balance between patience and not. But I think what I've learned over time with that, putting out the grateful gratitude. I have a 5-minute journal, and I write what I'm grateful for every day. Is that like you're right, like just focusing on the present right now, it curls my anxiety about the future.
Yeah.
And so like the little steps that you can do before you look back, and it's a lot of changes. So one of the
And
things,
isn't that just so much more fun though, too? Like, isn't it just more
yeah,
fun to live your life that way? Like, it's so anxiety provoking to constantly be looking at the problems, and truth be told, this is just how we kind of live in our society, right? Like a lot of
hmm
stuff is negative. people want to gossip. They want to talk about negative stuff. So it really becomes this game, this like game of life, when you can look at it in a very playful way. And it does lower your anxiety because you
Yeah.
are aware that amazing stuff's happening to you all the time. It's just, are you willing to show up with those colored glasses?
Yeah. And also like, I love the game and playfulness. Like sometimes I realize things that we take are serious are not that serious.
Totally.
Totally.
And I'm guilty of that. 100%.
Even professionally and professionalism. Like I said, I definitely know that this is a paycheck and things like that, but also I enjoy, like I actually have fun or laugh or joke at my job. And so like I had that balance, but it's just so hard because, like you said, like, what I'm thinking about when you help other people is that, I don't know, it's a lot of, for me, there's a lot of seriousness too. Like you want to make sure that you're giving them the best, giving you all, doing a very good job. And then you catch yourself when you get close to signs of burnout. I love how you said one of the signs of burnout is resentment. Like, oh, I'm not even enjoying helping people in this capacity no more, or X, Y, and Z. So what are some other signs when you're a helper? Let's say you're a helper. What are some other signs that you can identify where you need to like reevaluate whether you're burning yourself out or taking on the energy of others? What are some signs that helpers can identify in themselves to say, okay, I might need to do a timeout or a recess or whatever?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. So one thing that just came to mind is overwhelm. In my opinion, and in my experience, overwhelm is a choice. Overwhelm comes from a lack of organization, from a lack of boundaries. So I think along with that resentment, we can just feel this constant sense of overwhelm. And so, to go back to kind of like what you were saying, I think what all of these things have in common is just ownership, right? Taking a step back. Okay, I actually do love my job. I do love the people that I help. I love serving, but I'm not taking care of myself. And I realize that that's on me. That's not their fault. Like somewhere along the way, I've sort of lost myself, and that's normal. It's not going to happen just once. It's going to happen many times. So it's how do we constantly find our way back to like our home, basically ourselves. So overwhelm, taking a step back. Are you overscheduling yourself? Are you getting out in nature every day? Are you moving your body? Another thing that came to mind was, is your health declining? Are you not eating as healthy? Or you're not exercising? For me, those are two massive outlets that give me energy. They give me creativity. So when those things fall by the wayside, everything suffers, and it's just all like this domino effect. Sleep. Are you not sleeping?
Yes.
Because you're constantly overthinking everything and you're stressed. So there's a lot of these warning signs. It's just, are we letting it get to the point where it snowballs and then we feel resentment, we feel overwhelmed, our health is declining, and then I think the biggest thing is, I almost always have a coach, a support system of my own.
I was about to ask.
I can't, it's in my personal opinion, and everyone is entitled to their own. It would be so hypocritical of me to ask for people to invest in me as a coach and then me not turn around and invest in my own coach. Now, that's not to say that every day of the year you need to have one. But like right now I invested in a very high-end coach and it's the best thing. I mean, I love it. I love being a student. I love learning. And I know that I'll show up as a better coach every time I get to learn from someone else. It's just like this trickle down effect. All my clients are positively impacted by the investments that I make.
I knew it was going to get there. I felt the energy. I knew it was going to get there when we talk about who helps the helper. Because I've noticed that one of the things I love and one of the things I preach about is mentorship. In regards to, I seek mentors, but I have responsibility to mentee or be a mentor to others. But I definitely think that trickle down effect, like who helps me or who keeps me accountable, and I was glad you got to it, that we brought it up in the podcast, because I think sometimes it's very hard for you to objectively see when you're going to burn out unless you get some eyes on you. Say, Phil, I think you're doing too much. And I'm like, I don't see that I'm doing too much, but someone else does. And I get checked a little bit or things like that.
It's amazing. It's amazing how, we're so in it that having someone come in from a 10,000 foot view, it's like the things they're telling you aren't even that drastic, but it's like this, it's this like aha moment of, oh my gosh, duh. Like, and then these small shifts and it's like everything starts to open up, everything starts to feel better. So yeah, I'm really grateful for the mentorship. And I think for me personally, I've had mentors. I'm kind of an anomaly that like, I'm just very committed. So if I were to work with a mentor, I would be just as committed. But I will say that there's just something about like putting money where your
Yeah.
mouth is.
Oh yeah, that's more accountable. Yeah, you paid money. You're accountable. Yeah.
Because people show up very differently when they know that like I guess they're buying into themselves, and it forces them to be a lot more committed than if there was no financial investment. And I find that with myself as well. And so,
wow. Yes.
Yeah, that's been a neat realization.
Nice. I mean, I think that's the next layer, especially why people buy into gym memberships and all that, but not just throwing in money. If they have like a real trainer, they feel loyal to that because they're like, dang, I'm not only got a person that's going to check me and keep me accountable, but also my paycheck. You know what I'm saying? So I totally agree. The power of the purse is really very powerful.
Oh, I like that. The power of the purse.
Well, I use power of the purse a lot, not only for like just coaching and stuff, but like when someone, you do a favor for someone and they hold it over your head and say you gave them the power of the purse. So I try to do a lot of things independently. That's why I don't like to ask for money very often, because I don't want people to try to throw that back at me like, yo, I gave you money or loaned you money, because they have the power, because they have power of the purse. Like the power.
Can we talk about that? That's a really interesting thing, because I was just having this conversation with my best friend about how exhausting it is to keep track of the things that people do for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like you were talking the power of the purse. And so, not to take us on a long tangent, but just that if you give something willingly to someone, expecting nothing in return, because it only is exhausting you to be thinking about, well, I did this for you, or I gave this to you. And ultimately, like, if you believe in this law of reciprocity,
I was about to just say
it will always come back to you. And so I just thought it was so interesting that you talked about like the power of the purse, which I'm totally going to take. And I love that. I just think it's so important. Like, give without any expectation. It feels better and it will always come back to you.
No, I was definitely going to say the law, whatever. I always murder that word, so I'm glad you pronounced it correctly. No, but I believe in that too. I believe in giving to others without expectation back, and then naturally, either that person directly gives it back to you, or the world or the universe gives it back to you. So, for instance, I help so many people because it just makes me feel good about myself. Yeah. But that law of reciprocity, whatever, I can't pronounce it. But fact is, when I've done so much for other people, I don't expect anything from them, but just naturally some weird organic things, good things happen to me. So what I try to less focus on is when I help X, Y, and Z, I am not looking for what they're going to give me later or calling a favor or anything like that. I just do it because it's going to make me feel good. And also I do it unselfishly, but also have to still protect my time and my space. Like,
yes.
I can't give way too much where, give the shirt off my back and, I'm naked. You know what I'm saying? Like,
totally.
I give the shirt under my back. I give the shirt off my back if I have two shirts. You know what I'm saying? I got
your undershirt. Give me your undershirt.
Yeah, if I got a sweater, so I can give. I give what I can give, and I give what I can give.
Yeah.
I can't give more than that. But the point is, what I've noticed though is when I give without wondering what that person individually is going to give back to me, I don't feel like I have to bother them or hound them or whatever. But when I do that with that mindset, that normally sometimes randomly, because I didn't hound them or bother them, when I do ask for additional assistance, they just give me support because they knew that I wasn't trying to get them. So it's almost like I just naturally believe in it. I give love, I show support. Someone asks me for a favor, which I can manageably do. Like someone say, hey, Phil, I need a recommendation letter. Yeah, I can do a quick paragraph. I'm not writing you a thesis. I don't say no, but then I know just it's going to come back to me. And it normally does. And then sometimes it don't, but I can't worry about that. That's what I try to worry. What I try to do is like, like my wife gets like, you did this for your friends. What they going to do for you? And I'll be like, yo, because she always wants, I think my wife only does that because she wants to protect me.
Sure.
She definitely wants to protect my space, my energy. I was like, yo, chill, it's going to work out. That's like my mindset, like it's going to work out.
Yeah.
And then randomly, see, that's the part though. It's the most random thing where they don't come back like a year later. I wasn't even expecting this. and someone say, hey, Phil, I thought about you the other day, and I'm helping you out. And I'm like, okay, great. I'll take that. So I think I think of that. That's what I do. Now, if it's someone that actually owe me money, I got to get paid. Like,
yeah, totally.
Yeah, but
boundaries.
But in regards to helping my friends and people that need my help, I try not to think about keeping score or all that. I just say I'm gonna do it, and if I really do this and they're gonna have my back when I really need help, I'll just ask.
Yeah, love that.
So I mean, I think that's really hard though, because what I would say on the flip side to my wife's case, to see her point, is that it is disappointing. I ain't gonna lie, if it's disappointing where you give of yourself to other people and then you ask them for help and they just don't do it. So what I've learned too to protect my space is also I understand, like, okay, fool me once. Stuff. So like, I'm gonna take the signs. I'm not gonna be a dummy. I'm not gonna keep on giving to someone. So I'll be like, okay, when I really, really needed help, they didn't want to help me. I'm not gonna. Sometimes I'm not going to say I'm not going to help them when they don't help me. I'm just not going to reach out for them. They're not going to be I got my list of my supporters, and I know I can go to them unconditionally. And I'm like, that's who I got. I know who I got. So
100%.
I don't know. That was a weird, deep answer, but
it was great.
But I think it does tie into protecting yourself and getting help for yourself is, give to yourself, give of yourself to others, but just understanding, like, I still have a list of people that I know I got my back. I got my team. And over time, they've proven themselves to me.
Totally.
Just by not their words, but their actions have spoke, so much. Like picking up my kids from school when I needed help, or bringing food over, or just the little things that it wasn't even crazy. Like most times, the things that people have helped me with have nothing to do with money. It was just, a letter of recommendation or just some kind of positive networking. They put me in contact with someone, and it was just those little small things added up.
Yeah. Amen.
So cool. But I definitely think you got to protect your space. You got to protect your space. I've learned, I think someone told me that I went to a leadership conference, and for people that help others, there's things you need to protect. And you spoke upon it. You need to protect your energy. That I don't know the vibration stuff. I don't know, but protect your energy.
Yeah.
But another time too is protect your time.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are really particular about like blocking times off and saying, no matter what, this is unwavering my time. Like I'm going to the gym no matter what, and they block it. So can you speak about that too? How you protect your time?
Yeah. I mean, things like that, especially with like the gym, I schedule that as if it's a meeting.
Yep,
it's a non-negotiable meeting. And it's so fascinating to me how my clients will struggle with that of like feel this guilt. And I'm like, but why do you feel guilty about that? I mean, if you had a meeting with your boss, you would not feel guilty about showing up. So why should your health be any different? And then we kind of go through, does it make you feel better? Does it give you energy? It's like, okay, it does all these great things, but yet you feel guilty about going. So for me, non-negotiable, it's on the schedule. Other ways to protect my time, I really like to time block. So for example, I love to have multiple clients, or, if someone's listening, even like, let's say you're working on a project, I like to do that for, 4 or 5 hours back to back, because for me personally, I can get in a really nice flow, get in a good groove. It's very hard to jump from task to task. So for example, to do a podcast interview, then to like try and go create some content, then try and go do, and it's too much for the brain. It can't figure out which thing to focus on. So it's nice to just like, okay, I have 5 clients back to back, that'll be on Monday. And then Tuesday I'll have 5 hours of creation time. Nothing else is happening during that time except for that. So that helps me protect my time, and it's less anxiety provoking because I'm not having to task switch near as much.
Yeah. So I love the also power of habits and creating habits. It's almost like you set such strong systems in place that either people get on board or they don't.
Yeah.
And most times people do get on board because they want you around. You know what I'm saying? Like your clients are going to be like, damn, I never can reach her at 6. I don't want to be around her no more. They'll be like, okay, I just can't reach her at 6, but I'm going to get her when I can. Yeah. And they kind of just work around your systems. Have you ever met someone where you literally had to check them in 2 places, check them with protecting your time or checking with protecting your energy. And I want to do the positive part where they say, oh, okay. And they got on board. So for instance, like you just said, a Debbie Downer, they're energy suckers. And you check them, and he was like, yo, every time I talk to you, you suck in energy. And they're like, they weren't aware of it. And they say, oh, and then they change their behavior. Or they're like, you can't, I've been reaching you. Like, yo, I set these protections in my time. And then they got on board. Can you talk about positive instances where that happened?
Yeah. One thing I've had to learn the hard way is that, when you're working with people from the time they fill out an intake form to the time you get on a call with them, and then obviously the duration of your time working together, people want to be led. People don't want to show up to a call where there's that awkward energy of like, are you leading or am I leading? And so I find that if I take the lead, then it makes everyone feel better. And it's not in this like alpha domineering way, but like, okay, A, you hired me for this expertise. And B, I think it makes everyone feel better about like, I'm leading the conversation. Oftentimes I think with the negative energy, it's just a matter of awareness. Like I said earlier, we're so unaware of how negative society is. I mean, the next time you go out to eat with your girlfriends or your guy friends, like notice the stuff they're talking about. It's amazing how the conversations will often take a turn for, talking about people instead of ideas. That's something that my husband and I have really strived to do the last, few years as entrepreneurs, is to make sure the people we're hanging out with, we're talking about ideas, things we want to do, personal development, and not people, right? That just, it doesn't feel good. And it just doesn't bring positive energy. So I think the first part is just people having the awareness. You can't change something unless you're aware. And then like giving them assignments to really notice all the days where those thoughts start to pop up. And as they do that, they can, do things like focus on gratitude, do some meditation where they are able to, honestly, like you were talking about earlier, raise their vibration, where they are now able to just be happier without even having to really think about it. But it takes conscious effort.
Yeah. You like the third person that said something about vibrations. I was like, I don't know.
Well,
I just try
there's
to be
the
nice.
Rule of threes. If you hear it 3 times, you got to go look it up.
I got to look it up, man. I definitely believe in, a lot of this, and I call it mumbo jumbo, but that's just, I believe that there's a aha, duh. Like,
Totally.
Sometimes we try to over science stuff, whatever. But what I've learned about the energy and vibrations is it kind of makes sense to me in a matter of set points. Like if you're around people that are just mean, you become mean. I like to simplify things so much. Like, and you talk about those conversations. Like, if this is all we talking about all the time, those just don't get boring. Like, I was like, can we talk about something else? And I'm almost simplifying it, but like, I love it. Like, if we get around people that are like high energy and talk about good ideas, then you get good ideas. Sometimes we there's a lot of concrete science, really research aspects to this, but I think a lot of the well-being and this stuff too is like, just think about it from a kid's point of view. Like, you explain it to a 4-year-old. If you talk mean to people, you're gonna become mean. And things like that. And so I definitely agree, and I definitely believe in the vibrations. I definitely believe in the average of the 5 people you hang out with. I love all these numbers and things, but also I try to like simplify it to the fact of like, if I was telling my son, when you say mean things about people, they don't like it. Like just simplify it like I'm talking to my 4-year-old. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's important too. I mean, some of this stuff is really, regardless of what people's beliefs are, it's undeniable. I mean, think about, you go to a party, you're meeting a bunch of people for the first time, and there's just something about somebody. It's like the way they make you feel, their energy, like you immediately just feel like magnetized to them.
Yep.
There is no denying that there is something to that. Right. So I think, like you were saying, simplifying all this, you don't have to believe in the science. You don't have to make it more complicated than it needs to be, but it's like, follow that intuition of like, man, there's just something about this person that makes me feel good, makes me energized. Like, those are the kind of people you want to be around.
Exactly. And then I just, how we take it to slang. It's like, I love when people say, yo, I just vibe with that person.
Yeah.
Well, they say what it means. That's like your vibration. But like, you vibe with them means that you agree with them. You feel good about them. They feel good about you. You happy. You smile more. So yeah, I definitely believe in it. And I think it's twofold. Like if you really want to dive in, yep, there's a science to it, but it's also just like that gut intuition. Like when I'm around this person, I feel better about myself and I try to be a better person.
Yeah.
And they build me up and we build each other up. So I definitely, that's why I study the science part, but I also like try to say beyond the science part, what is like the most practical way I can use this? That's why I love to like say, I love when I study some of these things was like the most practical thing you can do is write something that you're grateful for. Okay, that's pretty easy. I can do that. That's a very practical thing, very concrete.
Well, and to your point, I think often we overcomplicate it.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't need to, like, you writing down 3 things seems to you like it's not enough. It's not a whole page. It's not 5 minutes.
No.
It doesn't matter. Like that, like don't underestimate the power of repeating a habit for days on end and seeing the positive results of that.
100%. I totally agree. And what I've noticed too, this is weird, but with my podcast, it's attracted. Once I call my podcast Positive Filter and say that the subjects that I'm going to talk about were a positive light and start getting guests to have different aspects about that. Literally all the guests I've attracted have been people that have conversations like this, where I know we had the same, certain, I have, I look different. I'm black male, you white female, but the different religious, I don't know, but the thing is the energy is there. And I know when people jump on my, it's like, yo, do we do an outline or not? Are we gonna have something to talk about? I was like, yo, we almost all the way into a hour and we definitely had something to talk about. So I definitely believe that the energy is transformative even in a digital platform such as a podcast. So I definitely believe in that, John. I know
the mumbo jumbo.
The mumbo jumbo. I definitely be in the woo and all that. I believe in that stuff. But for me, I just believe in the practicality of it too. So we're doing pretty good. I'm definitely going to have you get on the podcast. But this is the part of the episode I kind of throw people off guard. I call it shot for shot. Now, meaning my friend Marty gave me this idea where you get to ask me any random question that you want related to the subject or not, and I get to ask you any random question related to the subject or not. Whatever. You go first, I go first.
Oh, I lost you there for a bit.
Oh, I think you're back on.
I lost your audio there, though, for a little bit.
Oh, so the part shot for shot means that, so my friend Marty came up with this, and he said, you get to ask any random question to me. I get to ask any random question to you related to the show or not. And you just got to answer. It's almost like truth or dare, but there's no dare because we're on a podcast.
Dude, this is fun.
So do you want to go first or I'll go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. If it was your last day on Earth, what would you eat that day?
Oh, eat? Oh man, that's pretty good. So it's not also going what I'm gonna eat, it's going how I'm going to eat. So if it was my last day on Earth, I'd have a huge family style dinner. Like obviously I want my kids and my boys, my wife to be there. I don't know. I don't know the number, but I know it's going to be family style, and everything we eat is like you share it, like like a big.
Yeah.
Definitely I want steak. I want steak and I want booze because I'm going to die. I'm going to die anyway. So I want whiskey and I want steak, but I also would want it to be like family style, like, passing the big plates down. So at least if I'm eating my last meal together, then I'm not going to be by myself and I'm going to be turned up and my wife can't fuss at me because she's got to take care of the boys while they're like throwing food on the floor and all that stuff. I'm going to probably be hammered, but I'll be happy, laughing, and joking. So that'd be the way I want to. So it's more like not just what I eat, but how I eat too. That's gonna be the way I go. I love that question. Yeah, Italian style maybe. Like I like big Italian meals.
Okay.
With the big everything, like big spaghetti, all that.
Yep.
Or big Chinese food too, like the one where you had the table. That
turns.
Rotates.
Yeah.
The Lazy Susan or whatever.
Yes, the Lazy Susan. Yep.
I'd want that style either. So it don't matter as long as it's with people and we eat a lot and it's all different things. I don't want just one thing. I could put a little bit of different stuff on my plate.
Variety.
Maybe Thanksgiving style too. Shoot, I'm gonna die.
Bring it all.
Everything. Just
bring
everything.
it all.
Buffet style, except at my house and not at a buffet. And someone else cooks it. I don't want to cook it. I don't want to cook my last meal.
Touche.
That would sound like it sucked. Like you're gonna die, but you have to cook your own meal. I was like, dog, it's like half your day, your last day is cooking. I don't want to do all that. Like, let me just show up. All right. I love that question, actually. All right. So, I kind of reverse it back to you, but not a meal wise. If you were to, oh yeah, okay. If someone would say, yo, you're not going to exist tomorrow, but you can leave, because I got this from Lewis House. I love this. If you were not going to exist tomorrow, but you had the opportunity to leave 3 gems or 3 messages or mantras or whatever, like these are it. You write them on a piece of paper. This is what people are going to know you as, but your messages, these are your 3. What are your 3 mantras? And that's it. Like that's it in the time capsule. And people can go take it and make a whole book out of it or whatever, but these are the 3 things that I wanted to share with you before I go.
Okay, this is good. I will say this or something better.
Okay.
Impatience will kill more dreams than patience ever will.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, be kind to all.
Oh, that was going to be my 3. Well, not the patience one, but I was going to have be nice to everyone. That was it, somewhere in there. I love that. See, we had the same 3, or one of the same 3. I love it. That's a great thing. Maybe you might have to put that in the show notes as your 3, just for people to dive in deeper. So we had a great episode. I know you got things to do. I got things to do. But I'm so happy. My persistence paid off. Shout out to myself. When you say shout outs and plugs, I'm giving me my own shout out.
Seriously, shout out yourself. Oh, you did an amazing job.
No, because I'm so happy. This was definitely worth it. I'm so happy that Matthew connected us. You're one of my favorite guests. I got some really good energy off of this. I'm really excited. Now, this is your stage. The stage is set. I want you to do anything that you want to, anyone or person or thing you want to shout out, and then plugs. Make sure that the plugs that you plug, you give it to me so I can put it in the show notes so people can follow up. So the stage is yours. Shout outs and plugs.
All right. Well, my first shout out is to you. I just want to acknowledge you. And yeah, this was such an amazing conversation. I'm really grateful for you and your energy. And I just think what you're doing here is really, really admirable. So I want to recognize you for just everything that you're doing here. So grateful I got to be a part of it. I guess I would just say if anyone is interested at all in a more holistic approach to their lifestyle, you could have a goal of really just wanting more out of your life in general, or if it's on the health and fitness side, again, that is truly the backbone of what I do. Please feel free to reach out. You can find me on Instagram. It's just my name, Ali Lampert, and he'll put it in the show notes so you can have a clickable. You can check out my website, which is actually Ali Reddy, my maiden name. And we'll put aliready.com. We'll put it in the show notes. And then I have a fitness website that has programs that are great for any fitness level. So I did a huge beta test with about 200 people, put them through all these workouts. And then throughout the 90 days, they gave me feedback on what was working, what wasn't working. And so if you're looking to just jumpstart your fitness routine, you're not really sure where to go. This is from a trainer. This has been, tested on a lot of people just like you. So it's 3 times a week. The workouts are less than 30 minutes and most of them can just be done from home. So we created 3 different levels based on your experience. So we've got beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So if you're interested in those, you can check out the website, which is readyfit.com. We'll put all those in the show notes. So if you are interested at all, please reach out to me. Would love to get to know you better. And just so much gratitude to you for this awesome interview.
Excellent. I'm so happy. So please connect with her. Obviously, like I said, the energy's there. My good friend, my roommate from JMU, Matt, spoke so highly of you. He said, Phil, you had to get her on. And I just took his word for it. So I listened to my friends. He's definitely about that positivity and well-being. He's been a big supporter of my podcast, a good friend of mine. So when I told her that, I was like, I'm not going to let one of the people that Matt referred get off the hook, because he spoke so highly of you. He thought so highly of you. So I had to get you on the episode. I'm so glad I did. Please follow her and all the things and join the things and the things. Listeners of the podcast, you know where to find me. Positive Filter. It's all Positive Filter across all platforms. If you have any questions for the episode, either leave a voicemail 571-336-6560 or leave a question in the forum. Ali, it was a pleasure having you today. Thank you so
Phil.
much. And I can't wait for this episode to share your message with the world.
Thank you for listening to Positive Filter, a podcast that focuses on family, friends, career, with a little self-help along the way. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your family and friends, and like the Facebook page, Spreading Positivity of Movement. Thanks for listening.